On this lesson, we're going to be proving the law of cosines. What we need to do is kind of fill in the blanks here. We want to remember that cosine is a fraction of the adjacent leg over the hypotenuse. We usually just write a capital C right there to remind us. So katoa, okay. So let's begin. Part 1, we want to use the Pythagorean theorem to find little a squared. Here's my little a. If we attach it to this little triangle, it's going to be x squared plus h squared. Okay, so let me throw that away. We want x squared plus h squared, which is right there. Okay, so part 2. We want to use the Pythagorean theorem to find c squared. So when we look at c squared, we need this side, which is not labeled, but we can call it b minus x. So c squared is the hypotenuse. We want b minus x squared plus h squared, which is the last one offered. So we will click this one. Now we want to do a little bit of math to answer part 3. So we want to use this answer from part 2 to fill in the blanks. Okay, so we want to know what is b minus x squared plus 8 squared. When you square a binomial like this, it's the same as if we were to write it twice. That's kind of the definition of the what's that thing called? The exponent too. So we do our multiplication. We have b squared minus 2bx plus x squared plus we have that h squared. So it looks like they want us to write our, here we are, x squared plus h squared plus, okay, we're going to want to put a b squared right there, minus 2, and then we have bx. So we'll put bx. Okay, so then it says use the answer from part 1 and 3. So we have a squared equals x squared plus 8 squared. Oh, and that's what we have at the beginning of our part 3. So we'll put an a right here for a squared. Then we have our b squared there. So we're just replacing, here, let me show you. We're just replacing this x squared plus 8 squared with a squared, okay? We still have our b squared, and then we're going to put minus 2bx. Oops. We already have that. We have a blank there. Okay. So now we want to use trig to fill in the blank. Sorry, I'm just going to erase this a little bit. All right, so x equal, okay, so cosine of c. So let's look up here where c is. Capital C, we want the cosine, which is adjacent over hypotenuse. We want x over a. So cosine of c equals the fraction x over a. So take a look at the triangle there and make sure that you can see the cosine of c is x over a. When we multiply both sides by a, we get x is equal to a cosine of c. So that's going to help us in our formula. Oh, wait, we have to type in a cosine c. Okay. So now we're going to rewrite our c squared. We have our a squared plus b squared, a squared plus b squared minus 2. So instead of x, we're going to put an a. And then they already have our cosine c. And I like putting things in alphabetical order, and the formula is usually in alphabetical order. So we're going to put our a before the b. Okay, so that is proving it. Okay, so let's go, and we'll better do another one because they're not always going to be set up this way, and they probably will mix up the questions occasionally. So let's double check that we feel comfortable with that. So we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find a squared. So here's our a. So we're going to want c minus x for this little piece right here. So we want c minus x squared plus 8 squared. So let's put that in to there. Okay, use the answer from part 1 to fill in the blanks. So this is where we're going to need to multiply c minus x squared, and then we'll have that plus 8 squared at the end. So we have c squared minus 2cx plus x squared plus 8 squared. So they have the x squared plus 8 squared. So we're going to add the c in that first blank, and then we'll put a c x right there. Okay, so now we're ready to use the Pythagorean theorem to find b squared. So we look for b squared, which is, looks like one of the legs. So can we do x squared? No, that could be a hypotenuse if you use x and h as the legs. So it's x squared plus 8 squared. So that one. There we go. Now we're going to use the answers from part 2 and 3 and fill in the blanks. So a squared is equal to, we have a c minus, excuse me, so we have x squared plus 8. Oh, it's this one right here. We have our x squared plus 8 squared. That's our b squared. So we're going to replace that in our equation with b squared. And then we still have our c squared up here from part 2 minus 2cx. There we go. Cosine of A is the adjacent, which is x divided by hypotenuse, which is b. So we have, we'll write this down real quick. Cosine of A is equal to this fraction, adjacent, which is x, and the hypotenuse is b. We times both sides by b, and we have b cosine A, and that's what we're going to fill out right here. Is b cosine A. Now these are in place. Okay, so we're going to replace 4. Okay, we need 4 and 5. So instead of x, we're going to put in a b and then cosine A. And again, I like to do the alphabetical order. So b squared plus b squared minus 2bc cosine A. And there we go. So that will be the end of the lesson. Hopefully that helps clear up any questions you might have had. End of the lesson for reals now.